Hi, I'm Michael Senoff, founder and CEO of HardToFindSeminars.com. For the last 5 years, I've interviewed the world's best business and marketing minds. Along the way, I've created a successful publishing business, all from home from my two-car garage. When my first child was born, he was very sick, and it was then that I knew I had to have a business that I could operate from home. Now my challenge is to build the world's largest free resource for online downloadable MP3 audio business interviews. I knew I needed a site that contained strategies, solutions, and inside angles to help you live better, to save and make more money, to stay healthier, and to get more out of life. I've learned a lot in the last 5 years, and today I'm going to show you the skills you need to survive.
I can sell anything. The truth is I can sell anything that first of all, I have to want to sell it. I have to believe in it. Second of all, if they've got testimonials that are decent, they don't even have to be great. And if they have a risk-free proposition, I can sell anything. Guarantee you, I can sell anything. I hate to call anything that I do a gift because I have worked hard to master everything I have mastered. But I do think there was a piece of me that was to be a writer. My grandmother was a writer, and she was a copywriter, too. She wrote radio commercials. Michael, if I had to sum in a nutshell what's unique about Brian and in my copywriting is this deep, compassionate empathy that's truly heartfelt for other people. And I think that's what I took away from the brain tumor experience.
Had you ever had a job working for somebody?
Yeah, I did. Actually, I had 2 jobs for that. One was in my teenage years. I worked at a Mexican restaurant.
Washing tables, cooking what?
I was called a disher. I would take the food, put it on the plate, make it look pretty, and the people would eat it. So there was a little bit of cooking involved, but no recipes, it was just fry the taco.
How long were you at that job, the Mexican food one?
6 years. I actually started when I was 13.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I worked hard. All my other friends were out playing, and for the most part, they were all pretty rich. I come from a real poor country background. I grew up in the backwoods of Oklahoma. We just never had much. For me to get a $5 magic set for Christmas was a dream come true.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I just had one older brother that beat the holy living crap out of me all the time.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, it's funny now, but it wasn't fun at the time. My dad was basically ignored me, and my mom was real sweet, but she was always in a lot of emotional pain. It's just a kind of I'm not here to whine. It's just rough. My mom and dad divorced. So I think I was 11 or so. A year and a half later, my mom moved out here to Utah just on a whim, and
take the boys with her?
She took me with her, and my older brother he was just angry at the world, angry at everything, so he stayed there, and he actually was renting a house on his own, and he was about 16, 17 years old. But anyway, I worked real hard to try to have some money, and then I had a really great experience. I served as a missionary for the Mormon Church over in Japan.
Really? How'd you get that deal?
Well, it's a choice you make. When you're 19, it's not a requirement. It's up to you whether or not you go on a mission, and if you do, they'll support you.
So you moved out to Japan at 19?
Yeah, I went to Japan and lived there for 18 months.
Were you with other guys doing the same thing?
Yeah.
Was it fun?
It was. It was more fun than anything. It was more fun than it was missionary work, for me anyway.
Now, were you Mormon?
Yeah.
So is that the guys you see, they go out 2x2 on bicycles in the white shirts and kind of...
That's right.
You were doing that in Japan?
Yeah. They have a language training center in Provo, Utah, where you spend about 6 weeks doing your best to learn the language. And Japanese is not the simplest language on the 6 weeks isn't the longest amount of time you need. So, but what they found is that they just throw you into it, and you just tend to pick it up after about 4 or 5 months. Once you understand the fundamentals and you keep studying your vocabulary and you look up words as people say them if you don't understand them, it's a great experience. It was really wonderful, and to this day, I cherish those memories. I absolutely love Japanese food.
Okay, so you came back and you were 20 and a half. And then did you come right back to Utah?
Yes, I came back and I met a gal and got married right away. Probably too soon. But, hey, we fell in love, and I fell head over heels, and we got married.
When you got married, what was your financial situation?
You know, we lived in a mobile home. We had just shopped around for apartments, and we just couldn't see dumping money into something like that where the money is just going down the drain. And so somehow or other we came up with the idea, well, let's find a mobile home. And we did, and we found an inexpensive mobile home park to put it in, and we did that. Got a job at Interstate Brick. And what I did, along with about 6 other guys, all day long was take bricks off the kiln cars and stack them onto pallets.
Wow. And they were a brick manufacturer.
Yeah.
So these were like hot bricks coming out of the oven.
Exactly. Yeah, and sometimes they definitely were hot.
And how long did you do that for?
Yeah, let's see, I started in probably 83, and I quit in April of 87.
What kind of money did that pay?
They paid some piecework rate, but the base was $6.50 an hour. And the piecework allowed me to usually make about $100 a day. But, you know, at the same time, first of all, I just knew I didn't belong there. It just wasn't the space for me. But I had a family to support. A friend of mine had to introduce me to Amway. Now, I'm bringing this up because Amway was the pivotal turning point in my thinking.
Who introduced you to Amway?
A high school friend of mine. Here's what appealed to me most, Michael. They said that I could work 20 hours a week and make $5,000 a month. And that meant if I only have to work 20 hours a week to make $5,000 a month, I'm financially free. In my mind, you know, please understand, you know, I'm 22, 23 years old, making $6.50 an hour. $5,000 seems like a gold mine, and I only have to work 20 hours a week to do it. That is what sold me on doing it. And number two was the chance to get out of the brickyard and to be my own boss and run my own show and make residual permanent income working 20 hours a week for $5,000 a month.
I bet you couldn't sleep that night.
Oh, I was so excited I couldn't believe it. I went out over the next year and I personally sponsored 36 people, 2 downline legs that I had driven down about 6 levels deep. But more importantly, I was listening to the Worldwide Dream Builders tape. There's a gentleman by the name of Bill Brett. I think Bill Brett started the Worldwide Dream Builders Association. And anyway, it was kind of like a tape of the week club. And it was all these successful Amway people telling their story on these tapes and how they do the business and et cetera. And I would go to work with a tape player and the headphones, and I would listen to those tapes over and over all day long. So I was getting sales training over and over all day long. I was getting inspiration over and over all day long. And it just made my days slide by. It was wonderful. You know, I never made a dime in Amway. And the key mistake I made is I didn't sponsor people who were at my ambition level or above. I sponsored people who were easy to sponsor because they were so inspired by my enthusiasm that they just lined up. But they had no drive or ambition of their own. That was one of the principles of the training that they taught you. Sponsor at your ambition level or above, which is really a brilliant concept when it comes to network marketing. Because if you're sponsoring people as ambitious as you are, well, if you're ambitious, then you know you're going to have success. But more importantly, I thank God for Amway because I would not have started down this path of working for myself. It wouldn't even have occurred to me that I could be a business owner. I didn't picture me ever being a business owner at that age. I had no clue what I was doing. I was just having a family and paying the bills, and I mean, we were happy. We were happy. We weren't rolling in the dough. But, we had a lot of joy in our little home. A lot of happy memories of my life come from that time period. And I worked hard. I came home dripping wet with sweat every day in my overalls. But those are some really treasured memories. One thing, when I was working at the brickyard, a friend approached me, a different friend, and he said, "Hey, Brian, you know what? I've been cleaning carpets. I got this carpet cleaning machine, and people have been paying me to clean some carpets. You want to come out on some jobs? I'll pay you $10 an hour." I was like, wow, okay. So I went out on some jobs with him in the evening and did some carpet cleaning. Paid me $10 an hour, and we did that on. It wasn't very often, maybe a couple times a month. We did that on and off for like 6 months. Then he, about 6 months into it, he goes, "Hey, Brian, I got these office buildings that I'm cleaning these carpets for, but they also asked me if I could empty the trash and clean off the desks and vacuum and things like that." So we started up a little janitorial service. And we got too many people, too many clients. You want to take over? Well, I'll pay you $12 an hour to go at night and clean this place and that place. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And so I went, and he trained me and showed me, what to do at this office and don't do this at that office. And it's just whatever the people wanted is what we did. And they were pretty big buildings. None of them were just little onesie-twosie, like an accountant's office or something like that. And I got thinking about it, and I thought, you know what? Well, I didn't consciously think this, but I had all this sales training from Amway. I thought about it and thought, I bet I could go out, and I bet you anything, I could get some of these deals myself. And so I asked my buddy if it was all right with him. He's like, yeah, sure, go for it. So I did. I took one of the busiest streets in Salt Lake Valley, and I'm so proud of this, Michael. I've got to. I am so proud of this. I had some business cards. I printed up 1,000 business cards for $15. Voiles Cleaning Service said on there. Put my wife's name on there and put my name on there, and I went to 33rd South and 3rd West. I went all the way up to 23rd East, and we're talking probably 5 miles, maybe 8 miles. I walked on the north side of 33rd South, and I knocked on every stinking door there was to knock. Went in, suit and tie, introduced myself, said, yeah, who's in charge of your janitorial service? I tell you, I went up the north side, crossed the street, after 8 miles of door knocking, went down the south side, 8 miles of door knocking. Took me about 3.5 weeks to do this, and by the time I was done, I had $3,200 worth of janitorial services, little teeny offices that all the big companies wouldn't even touch. Little teeny offices that were happy to pay me. Oh, yeah, we need it so bad. The bathroom and we hate taking out the garbage and everything. I had $3,200, and they were all like little $60 a month deals.
That was $3,200 a month.
Yeah, and my biggest job was $120 a month. Man, I couldn't believe I had landed a $120 a month job.
That's great. And it's a residual, too.
Yeah, and most of them were once a week. And so I said, well, do you mind if I come on a Tuesday night instead of on the weekend? And what I did is I got them all, they were all happy just to have me come. I had my whole week divided up. And what I did is I got up at 4:30, 5 in the morning, and I would go and I would clean the offices for that day, and I was home by 7 in time to help with breakfast and getting the kids off to school. So I was working 2.5, maybe 3 hours every early morning doing janitorial, and I came home, and you know what? I was free the rest of the day.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, part of the story was I got laid off. I got laid off about 4 months after I started this janitorial thing. So,
from the brick place?
Yeah, the brick place had laid me off. And, they offered me the job back later, but I just said, no, thank you, So anyway, they were really great. They paid their unemployment, and they were a good company.
Do a comparison. The bricklaying with your hard labor, how much were you making a month? And then let's compare it to what you had going with your own business.
Oh, I was really happy to make $2,000 or $2,200 a month in bricklaying.
And that was from what time to what time?
Started at 7, so I had to leave at 6:30. The work ended at 3:30.
And then the janitorial work, you were doing 2.5 hours in the morning.
Yeah.
And you were making around $3,200 a month.
Yeah. Well, now on the weekends, I would have to put in a good 3 hours.
Okay.
Maybe 4. Just on the Saturday. I never worked Sunday.
And you got that all from hustling.
Yeah. It was such a no-brainer. When I look at it now, I just think, well, anybody could do that. Just pick a busy street and look for these little businesses that the big boys just aren't even going to go after.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about window cleaning. I just did the basic stuff people didn't want to do. They didn't want to take out their garbage. They didn't want to clean the toilet. They didn't want to scrub the bathroom floor. They didn't want to vacuum. They didn't want to dust. And you know what? That's all I ever did. Common, ordinary housekeeping stuff that took no specialized training whatsoever. It was just no-brainer stuff that, guess what? People don't want to do it.
Okay, so how long did you do the janitorial stuff?
I did that I was still doing it when I had started my copywriting. What I realized after doing the janitorial for a month or two, I've got the rest of the day, and I can't handle any more janitorial work unless I want to start getting into employees and stuff like that. And that was something in Amway that they shunned because they'd tell you, no, you don't need employees. You don't want employees because then you become a slave to the business. And so that was something I knew I wanted to stay away from. So I thought, okay, we're clipping along here pretty good. I got the trailer paid off, bought a new car for my wife, a Hyundai Excel. Really, it was the nicest car I had ever owned. And I thought, well, okay, what am I going to do? And my wife one day, my wife at the time said, well, did you make money with your magic before, doing magic shows? I said, well, yeah, I did 5 or 6 shows and made some money. She said, well, why don't you do that during the day? I'm like, well, yeah, who's going to hire a magician during the day, And then it just occurred to me that elementary schools would. So I just wasn't afraid to get on the phone, Michael, and because I'd done it with Amway, and I just got on the phone, and I started calling daycare centers. I started calling, actually, the elementary schools. I dressed up, suit and a tie, and I went to every elementary school in the Salt Lake Valley. Something any professional magician would be either too elitist about, too good to do, or he's just too freaking lazy, which most people are. And I went to every school, and by the time I was done, I had gone to like 40 schools, and out of 40 schools, I had booked like 18 shows. And admittedly, I wasn't charging much because I didn't know what to charge. I charged $50 for most of them. And then later on, as I was seeing success, I thought, well, gee, maybe I should charge more. And it wasn't a matter of market thinking. I wasn't thinking about the market or marketing at all. I was just thinking, well, gee, maybe I could get more money. I wasn't thinking what the demand was or what the competition was charging. It was just a matter of, hey, maybe I could get more. So I charged a few of those $85. Thought, man, I'm making bank. I'm going to go to the school. I spend a half hour. I'm going to get $50. I'm going to get $85. Do you know how much that is an hour? Holy crap, that's $170 an hour. I was so excited I couldn't stand it.
That's great. And had you practiced magic when you were younger? And
oh yeah. A friend gave me a magic kit when I was 10. And from that point on, man, I just hooked on magic. Still am to this day. I don't do shows anymore. Well, when I speak at a seminar, I almost always do magic. Mm-hmm. But I still, I'll still buy the latest videos and some of the newest tricks and things like that. It's just an addiction, And where I'm leading, though, is the magic is ultimately, Amway was the paradox shift for me. It just changed everything from having a job to I just had this programmed drive to be self-employed. Now, that was the crux of everything that guided me to where I am. And then magic is what turned me on to marketing because I just wanted to succeed at it. And I thought, well, how can I get more business? I just need more business. Again, I wasn't afraid to get on the phone, but I was getting too many shows that was taking up phone time. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't be on the phone because you can only phone during certain hours. And hey, if I'm out doing shows during those hours, guess what? I can't be on the phone generating business. So I thought, well, maybe I'll advertise. Well, actually, what made me think of that was from the preschool shows, I was getting birthday parties. Moms would call and say, hi, my son saw you today and he just loved you. He said you were hilarious. And do you do birthday parties? And of course I wasn't going to say no, even though I'd never done one. And so I said, sure, yeah, I could do a birthday party. So that's what got me thinking, well, gee, maybe there are other people out there that would like to have a magician at their birthday. See, I'd never even heard of that. I never even heard of having a magic show at your birthday party. I was really naive about life in general. So anyway, I thought, well, maybe I'll advertise. But where can I advertise for preschools? There's nowhere. I can't advertise for elementary schools. Oh, I don't know what to do. Then I just thought, well, I'll just advertise for birthday parties. This is really the key turning point for me. There's an advertising newspaper here in town called the Mailbox Shopper. Really nice. It's a good publication. People do get results from it now. It was a lot younger when I looked at it, but anyway, I had the guy come out, who's the owner, and he was selling me on this ad, and I said, well, okay, I'll think about it, but I don't know what to say in my ad. And he goes, well, here's some examples. And he shows me what everyone else is doing. And here's the name of the restaurant. And they've got a little coupon here, buy one, get one half off, and their address and their phone number. So I just thought, okay, well, I'll just do an ad that says magic shows. Put my phone number in there. Well, ultimately, I spent hours on this ad, and I was so confused about what to do. And I'd go to the Yellow Pages and look at all the ads in there, and I looked at all the ads in all the Mailbox Shoppers I could get my hands on. I even called several of the advertisers in Mailbox Shopper. Hey, does this thing work for you? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It was just such a confusing deal for me. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, I decided not to do it, but then the guy said, well, how about this? How about if I let you run this ad for half off and you come and do a magic show from my church? And I was like, okay, wow, there's a deal. So I did it. I did get 2 birthday parties out of the ad.
Do you remember how much the ad was for?
Oh, it could have been more than $100 because I was a tightwad, man. I wouldn't have spent more than $100 on it. Are you kidding me? That's 2 whole magic shows. You know, that was my mindset at the time. You know, and I got 2 parties out of it, but I thought about it, and this is the one brilliant thing I did. I thought, now wait a minute. I spent $225 on this ad, and I only got 2 birthday parties. Wow, that's it. Well, that wasn't a very good deal. You know, even though I'd paid for half my ad with the magic show, it still wasn't a very good deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I looked at it. I didn't say, well, I didn't break even. And so I just didn't know what to do. Now, here's what happened. This is fun to even think about for me. My wife and I did this chain letter thing. You've probably seen it. $90,000 in 90 days. Okay, we decided, let's just give this a try. And so we rented a mailing list of opportunity seekers, you know, for $15 per 1,000, you know. And we mailed out all these chain letters, and of course it was just dismal what happened. But what it did is it got my name on some mailing lists. And I'll be forever grateful for that doggone shit. So here comes this newsprint magazine chock full of
money-making opportunities.
And I was paging through that sucker. I saw an ad, and it said, make more money in your business. Learn how to advertise and get results. Learn how to mail and get results. I was just blown away. I mean, it spoke right to me, Michael. Brilliant. And it was an ad by Jeffrey Lance for his money-making marketing book.
Wow.
And right underneath it was an ad that spoke to me just as well for his cash copy book. And if you buy them both together, you save $10. So I bit the bullet, and I told my wife, I said, honey, you know, I went to her with everything. You know, she controlled the money, right?
Yeah.
And I said, I have got to get these. I really think I could do something with my magic business if I get these books. So we did. We got them. And I did not put those books down except to go do a magic show and go do my cleaning route. And I studied them. I devoured them. I took notes. I mapped out a marketing plan. I didn't even know about direct mail. Oh, wow, what a cool idea, you know, except for our chain letters.
Right.
You know, I thought, oh, that's a neat idea. Oh, I could do a postcard. Oh, that's cool. I should just send a postcard instead of knocking on all these doors. Yeah. Or phoning all these places. I could mail them a letter. Wow, what a concept. But for me, this was amazing. And, you know, those books really are good. You know, they're 2 of his finer works. And the other books that I really love of his is How to Make $1 Million, Publishing, Commissioning, and Writing How-To Information. That's the best, in my opinion, step-by-step how to create an information product book on the planet. In fact, I got a funny little side story. I had bought, this was a few years later, but I had bought Ted Nicholas's how to publish a how-to book. I don't remember what he called it.
How to publish a book and sell 1 million copies?
Yeah, that was it. I had bought that, and it was expensive, and I loved Ted. This is before I'd gotten to know him. But it was just terrible compared to Jeffrey Lance's book. Jeffrey Lance was so precise and detailed in every little step. And I sent Ted's product back, and I actually wrote him a letter that said, hey, you know, I'm sorry I have to ask for a refund, but this just really isn't very good. I don't know if you know about this book by Jeffrey Lamp, but it's called How to Make a Blah, 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 you know. And I said, you really ought to check it out because it's a lot better than yours.
That's hilarious.
I said that to Ted Nicholas. Well, anyway, I mean, really, Michael, I hardly slept for 2 weeks, and those books are thick. They are copied in, and they took a while to read and understand, and I ended up buying every single thing I could from that guy.
It's exactly what you needed. You had the answers in front of you in those books for your magic business, and did you start applying them to your magic business?
Oh, did I ever? Oh, man. One thing led to another. I got introduced to this guy. I don't even remember how I found this. I must have been on some magic list, and they rented my name or something. There's a gentleman by the name of Brian Flora in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He's since passed away, bless his heart. He had a second heart attack. He was pretty young. He put on this annual conference for magicians on how to market your business. And somehow I got an invitation to it. I was just bouncing off the walls with excitement to go. Before that, I had already been having success from using the Jeffrey Lance stuff. And what I was doing, I was just mailing the elementary schools and the preschools. And I was having really good success with it. I believe in gifts, but I hate to call anything that I do a gift because I have worked hard to master everything I have mastered. But I do think there was a piece of me that was to be a writer. You know, I wrote stories as a little boy. I wrote stories about the Cherry family, I called them, and I had poems and things. My grandmother was a writer, and she was a copywriter, too.
Really?
She wrote radio commercials. Iva Simpson is her name, and she, believe it or not, Michael, this is so cool to tell. She was the lady that came up with the word.
You've been listening to an exclusive interview with Brian Keith Voiles. Please continue to Part 2.
Here is another bonus resource for you, and it's about a section on my site that has about 15 hours of audio interviews with copywriting experts, including Brian Keith Voiles, including Carl Galletti, including Eugene Schwartz. You will not find this content anywhere. It'll take you to an entire collection of audio recordings, MP3 downloads, and transcripts of some of my best interviews on the subject of copywriting. You'll be able to play them, download them, print the transcripts, and it's a collection you will not find anywhere else. If you want an education on copywriting, you will not find anything better